Hello, peeps. This is a hillbilly halfwit. How are you today? And it's the first sit-down one we've had to do for a while. And the reason I'm doing this one, we're basically talking about Zelensky, Ukraine, Starmer, Trump, why the war is in problems it is. And yesterday I got called, what was I get called? I forget now, because I thought the war should be ended. So I thought I'd just go through things and show you the real propaganda being used against the UK population. So I thought it'd be interesting. So let's get going. The content in this video is intended for comedic purposes only. The views expressed in this video are not to be taken as factual information or representation of my personal beliefs. I'm critically reviewing the info and videos I show as examples. Now this is what's going on. This is what's going on. I've seen it before. War PMs get more popular and they realise that and they get voted back in. That's what's happening. Now, if you don't realise that, like I say, you're a buffoon. Because the guy in charge of our country, Starmer, was at the bottom, and all of a sudden, a week later, after he wants to go to war, he's at the top. Because the propaganda machine is working overtime. Being dressed in his uniform, see? Doing nothing in this country. Nothing. He prefers to be abroad. That's all it's all about, dressing up and pretending to be a great leader. And now it'll be like that until the next election. You watch. And at the same time, the attack on reform by the establishment. So this is what I think. UK conscripts should start with the children of the politicians who vote for it. Send their kids first. All these people with the Ukrainian flags on Facebook are saying, obviously, when it comes to my time, I'd go, because that's the kind of person I am. But the ones with the flags up first should be going first, I think. Now, this is what's going on. Lots of people have no idea what is going on. There is a battle of two narratives. One false, that Donald Trump set up Zelensky for the confrontation, and we should be outraged. So that's the UK one. The other, true, that Zelensky, the UK and the EU are playing the US because the British has already signed a deal that provided Ukraine security guarantees, right of access to Ukraine's gas, oil and rare earth minerals, oversight of Ukraine's ports, and the opportunity to invest in the rebuilding of Ukraine, signed between the two nations 3 days before President Trump's inauguration on the 17th of January 2025. Now, lots of people will say that is wrong. Right, let's go and look at this. This is on gov.uk. UK-Ukraine 100-year partnership declaration. Starmer said it himself on television. 16th of January 2025. 17th of January 2025. So this is a day before a partnership agreement signed on the 16th of January 2025 between the United States, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and Ukraine. So let's just go through here. Energy sector. Deeper incorporation with the energy sector will include exploring projects on renewable energy sources, seeking to attract investments of British companies in the development of renewable energy sources, collaborating in projects on renewable and low-carbon and hydrogen projects, storage and transportation of other renewable gases, supporting projects for those to close mines and supporting a just transition of Ukraine coal regions, supporting development of a Ukrainian critical minerals strategy and necessary regulatory structures required to support the maximization of benefits from Ukraine's natural resources throughout the possible establishment of a joint working group. Cooperation in the field of nuclear energy and nuclear fuel supply, supporting the safety of nuclear and the replacement of Russian technologies, the nuclear fuel in Europe and other countries being negotiated begin negotiations for agreement in cooperation in the field of civilian nuclear energy. That's on the government website. That is what's actually happened. That bottom bit there is what that is. That's not a conspiracy, that happened. So what they were looking to do was to sucker the US into providing security for their exploitation of Ukraine. The US and the President Trump are not the bad guys here. This is my interview. So what they were trying to do, the UK establishment, it might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. I don't know. I'm just telling you the truth. They'd signed this deal 3 days before Trump came into power. Then they went to see Zelensky. First Starmer went. Then Zelensky went, pretending they hadn't signed this deal. And they wanted Trump to supply all the troops and all the support while this lot took the money. Now, from what I understand, they realised that day that Zelensky was lying, and they tried to get the agreement, and then they realised he'd been going behind their back all the time, and that's what happened, really. That's why the row happened. So that's the truth of the matter. Now, this is from Biden. When he was the president, Biden lost his temper with Zelensky in the June phone call when the Ukrainian leader asked for more aid. Biden had barely finished telling Zelensky he'd just green-lighted another $1 billion in military assistance when the Ukrainian president started listing all the additional help he needed. Remember, they got 1 million troops in Ukraine. So this is Tucker Carlson. Some don't like him, some do. He's just listing how much money this lot have had. Carlson has accused Ukraine of selling military aid. Since Russian invasion, Ukraine has also received substantial cash support. So USA, 33 billion, 17 billion from Canada, EU, 63 billion, UK, 5 billion, which is actually 12 billion. Japan, 4 billion. So it's 119 billion plus another 250 billion that the USA has given besides. Now, what they reckon here is that, you can read that yourself, that Ukraine has took that money and sold huge quantities of American weapons on the international black market to Hamas, Mexican drug cartels, and the forces now controlling Syria. The Ukrainians have also murdered a number of people in various countries in political assassinations and tried to murder others, including the American journalist and a European head of state. This is all true, and it's going to come out soon. And I think they tried to bop Trump off as well. Now, this is the hypocrisy of the UK and the EU. The EU spends more on Russian oil and gas than the financial aid to Ukraine. Europe estimated to have bought £22 billion worth of fossil fuels from Russia in 2024, but gave £19 billion to support Kiev. That is in Monday, 24th of February, 2025. So that is right. If you're wondering why you cannot get a GP appointment today, politicians spent $400 billion on COVID, $80 billion on HS2, $350 billion on debt interest, and $80 billion in overseas aid over 5 years. Billions on immigration, billions on benefits for 5 million to sit around. And now we're off to fight Russia. That's a fact. During COVID, they bankrupt the country. It's a fact. So this is the coalition of the willing. There they are, all having that meeting the other day. So Canada was in it, and they got a new president now, Mark Carney. So I don't know what's happening there. The French is still maybe, and the coalition of the willing is the UK, who signed that agreement, and nobody else, as far as I can see. Nobody. Maybe on 2 of them. So they were having a go at J.D. Vance the other day of being bad to the UK. He never said such a thing. He was talking about a random country in a conversation, and this is what he said. He's just said it himself, yeah. J.D. Vance, this is absolutely dishonest. I don't even mention the UK or France in the clip, both of whom have fought bravely alongside the US over the last 20 years and beyond. So there you are, from the bloke's own mouth. He wasn't talking about the UK. He was talking as like a random country in the UK, in the EU. Everything is taken out of context and made the person to look bad. Bad news for Starmer and Macron. Vance confirms the only US security guarantee in Ukraine will be the mineral deal. But he also plays down British and French peacekeeping troops. They don't want to put in troops when the deal has been signed with the UK. That's what's happened. We could have rebuilt a couple of hospitals or bought 45 new Challenger tanks or restored the winter fuel allowance to 800,000 of the neediest pensioners. Even allowing for inflation, there are still lots of things you could do with 250 million. Instead, as the Telegraph revealed on Monday, over the first 2 months of this year, we spent it on paying wind farms to switch off their turbines. So 250 million is spent to pay wind farms to switch off their turbines. And in Wales, our whole of the agriculture costs 330 million. So there you are. People don't like facts. And I was talking about these two the other day. One's a war criminal on the left there, Mr. Alistair Campbell. And there's Rory Stewart on the right. He's supposed to be this great bloke. Well, I've been looking at him the last few days. He only actually served for 12 months in the military on active service. And this podcast now, where everybody's talking about and it's getting pushed around, is what I said. What's happening? You're having propaganda. Both pro-war, both anti-Brexit. One's a war criminal. They both signed the Official Secrets Act. And when they're asked, they don't even have to say they've signed it. It's propaganda. So this is his diplomatic career, look. This is Rory Stewart. Some have suggested that Stewart was an employee of the Secret Intelligence Service, MI6, during his time as a British representative to Montenegro, allegedly being recruited to MI6 shortly after he graduated from the University of Oxford. Stewart has said that his career progression and his father's work in MI6 might give the appearance that he worked for MI6, but says he did not work for MI6 while a diplomat, so that's a little bit of a weird way to answer it. Stewart has also acknowledged that due to the Official Secrets Act, even if I had worked for MI6, he would not be able to admit it. So 2004 to 2003 was when he was in command in Iraq, and then it all went to a shitstorm and it was attacked by a load of people. While Stewart initially supported the Iraq war, the international coalition's inability to achieve a more humane, prosperous state led him in retrospect to believe the invasion had been a mistake. Well, like millions of us, I'm afraid. So this is his dad, Brian Thomas Stewart. He died in 2015. There's his son there, look, Rory Stewart. He's a very brave guy during World War II, to be fair to him, and he was second in command of SIS, basically the security services. Chief of the Secret Intelligence Service, Brian Thomas Webster Stewart. That's him there. Very, very brave guy. Did a lot of work. I'm not having to go with him at all. I'm just showing you the information. His intelligence career, you can read that yourself, but I'll just read this bit now. He was second in command. He hoped to succeed Maurice Oldfield, as chief of the Secret Intelligence Service, but when the post was instead awarded to Dick France, he retired. According to Oldfield's biographer, SAS colleagues had no doubt about Stewart's abilities as an intelligence officer, but found his character chilly with a streak of arrogance. In an unprecedented move, senior MI6 officers agreed that they would resign en masse if Morris insisted on pushing the appointment through. So he's a brave guy, this guy, though. But obviously, for some reason, they didn't want him in charge. Now, this is Tobias Ellwood. He is, if you look here, he's on TV all the time pushing propaganda for this war. And he's a lieutenant colonel in the 77th Brigade, which is the British Army, basically, brigade to do propaganda on everybody. He's a warmonger. Ongoing military career. In September 2018, Ellwood announced that he'd been promoted to the rank of lieutenant colonel as a reservist in the 77th Brigade, based at Denison Barracks. A physiological operations unit responsible for non-lethal warfare, which disseminates government-friendly podcasts and videos. So, would that be them two? And other ones, you see? So, Regiment 77. That's what they're up to. So, 77th Brigade, here we are. Let's have a look at them again. Here's the 77th Brigade. What it used to be was all written down there, but this is what it is now. Role in 2014, the Security Assistance Group mission was to work across Whitehall agencies to achieve the goals of defence engagement and building stability overseas. The 77th Brigade was created to draw together a host of existing developing capabilities essential to meet modern warfare. In 2019, Rory Clark described the brigade as a physiological operations unit responsible for non-lethal warfare that reportedly uses social media to control the narrative as well as disseminating UK government-friendly broadcasts and videos, like we've just been talking about, Mr. Stewart and that lot. Warfare today, says the brigade, that is combined regular army and reserve unit for non-lethal warfare and behavioural influence based at Denison Barracks. It's a behavioural insights team. Activities, this I found quite interesting. It is all available, you can go and look for yourself. The brigade uses social media such as Twitter and Facebook to influence population's behaviour. David Miller, then a professor of political sociology at the University of Bristol, studying British government propaganda and public relations, said that it is involved in manipulation of the media, including fake online profiles. Now, I think lots of these big YouTube channels are fake online profiles, and that's where they get huge amount of subscribers. In September 2019, Middle East Eye reported that Gordon McKellen, a Twitter executive with the editorial control of the Middle East and Northern Africa, is also a reservist officer in the 77th Brigade. Both Twitter and the British Army denied that they have a relationship or an agreement. Miller said it was hypocritical of Twitter to close accounts alleged to be connected with non-Western governments while having links to the British Army. On 22nd of April 2020, during the UK's government daily coronavirus briefing, General Nick Carter confirmed that the 77th Brigade are working with the Home Office Rapid Response Unit, helping to quash rumours from misinformation, but also counter disinformation. So they're working against their own population now. A regiment, 77th Brigade, is working against its own population. On the 7th of May 2020, the Economist interviewed Carter on the role of 77th Brigade in fighting COVID disinformation. The Defence Control Specialist said he was used to monitor the internet for content on COVID and to look for evidence of disinformation related to COVID vaccines. An army source later told the Mail on Sunday that this involved monitoring the UK population. A government spokesman stated in response, these units use publicly available data, including material shared on social media platforms, to assess UK disinformation trends and narratives. They did not target individuals or take any action that could impact anyone's ability to discuss or debate this thing? Well, that was wrong because we saw Julie Hartley Brewer at it. If you look at the bottom, the Brigade has made a formal partnership with the Europe-based US Army 361st Civil Affairs Brigade. So that will be USA aid funded. The Brigade's operational costs nearly doubled from 2015 to 2023, from 7.6 million to 14.5 million. Under the Future Soldier Programme, the Brigade will move to Purbright Camp in Surrey in 2035. So that's all there is today. I know this video's gone on a bit, but I just wanted to show you all the propaganda against somebody who is anti-war. Now, I'm not anti-war with things when people attack our country, but I am on this because I think it's a bad deal. I think Ukraine needs to sort itself out and start to rebuild itself and just get on with life. Too many people are getting killed. I do believe Trump is a businessman, and I'm not naive enough to think he isn't doing this for certain reasons, but I do think he is one of these people who is pro-peace, and lots of people around the world are not. So there's my bit about this. Please subscribe, and hopefully we can get a few more of these sit-down ones, which I love doing, but I haven't got the time always. Okay? All the best, guys.